from the old curriculum. Now, these days, you see, kids are reading, kids are learning, they are writing, they are reading. That's the big change that made since direct instruction teaching took place in classrooms.
You can see the kids learning so many things, new things. It never happened before that, but now it's happening. My little daughter always reading a book and sharing a book with the other kids. Was once a little girl came into our home and she picked up a book and started reading like a teacher. She acted as a teacher and started reading. I was so surprised about that.
When I arrived at Aurukun, the library was never utilised as a library. It was unheard of for a child reading a book. One child out of our cohort was at national benchmarks. We're now in the situation 2.5 years later where we have one of the deadliest libraries in Queensland, and the only problem we have with it is the amount of children wishing to go into the library at lunchtime to read.
A very delightful experience with little kids that I'd never met before, who sat me down. As soon as they got me, they were very friendly and open, which is lovely. The kids at Aurukun are friendly and open. I said, "Oh, you're going to school?" "Yes." They said. I said, "Oh, what do you like?" And they said, "Culture." And this culture program, and they said, "Artefacts." And so I started just a little quiz of them, and I said, "Oh, you know, like what sort of things?" And they immediately listed off all their pulwaya. Now that's one of the systems that's supposed to be defunct here. Like many other things, it's not defunct at all, like your story. Not your dream time, because there's no nation dream, but your story. And those little kids knew them all, because that's what some of the teachers are teaching them. They're talking about homelands and country and these forms of identification, language. So I think that's really good. But they also said, "Oh, and what else do you like? What's part of the culture?" "Oh," they said, "AFL."
Carbon culture, because some parents don't take out their children out in the weekend. The culture that we have to share it with our new generation. Try to take them out and show them what things or trees we have to tell them in language, and this is the things that we use. That same program, it's within the school system now.
I was here when the old school was, like before, and I've been here after. I remember when we'd be called down for children who'd fighting. We called down to the school for children having temper tantrums. We just, a lot of stuff down at the school. Just walking into the school and getting a vibe of the school, I remember thinking it was just chaos. And I just remember walking into this chaotic mayhem of a building. There were kids running everywhere, and there was noise, and there was chaos, mayhem. And I remember we used to see a lot of teachers come in at burnout. We used to see the teachers, they'd come in and their faces would be, and their hands would be running through their hair, and it's like, they'd say, "I don't know what to do." They said they weren't teaching, it was all about crowd control. You'd get one kid settled and the other one would be up the walls, climbing the roof, throwing chairs, throwing tables. Here we are, 3 years later? Unbelievable. The change that I have seen in the children of Aurukun has been phenomenal.
Coming back initially this time round, what hit me immediately was just the change in atmosphere at the school. It's just a lot calmer and a lot more positive, both the students mostly, but also the teachers as well. They're a whole lot more positive. It used to be quite tense, and there are still situations obviously where there's teasing and fighting and that kind of thing, but nothing to what it used to be. Whereas last time I was here, there were quite regular situations where, there were lockdowns or just intense fighting, and just felt a bit more on edge.
They played AFL down at the Oval on Friday night, and after they'd played the games, This is 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night after a full day at school. And they got all these, they had 4 teams of AFL of kids ranging from, I think it was maybe year 1 to grade 7. And they'd had a whole day at school. Tony Abbott was here, everyone, you know, disruption to the program. 7 o'clock after they'd played a game, they were all sat down and they were all the kids are talking and carrying on and that. Anyway, this teacher stood up in front of them. He clapped his hands twice, patted his head twice and his belly twice. Every single one of those children stopped and looked at him. Every single one. We're talking about Indigenous children aged between 5 and 13, stopped talking and listened to a teacher clap his hands and pat his head.
I vividly remember my first day in Arakoon being picked up from the airport at approximately 11 o'clock and being driven into the school. It was class time when I was driven in. Despite that, children were walking around the playground. I remember my first class visit that afternoon where the children appeared to be disengaged, not particularly interested. There were numerous behavioural problems. The situation now is that during any class time, there is no child out of class unless on delegated activities. Secondly, you can go into any class and there will not be misbehaviour, there will not be children walking around, there will be children sitting there learning.
The students, you know, they are much more concentrated and are focused now. And in just 2 years, I could see a big difference in the children's behavior now, whereas before when I was a teacher aide then. But in this program, it's all changed.
Before they were doing like this, and now the lessons they do is much easier for them, learning much faster with the reading and maths. And it's not really hard, it's easy for them to do. With the other one, it's hard, much harder what they used to do.
I think the mixed classes work really well in that kids are at their level rather than at their year level. So in the past, my experience was that children who hadn't been at school for months or sometimes years would come back into class and would be nowhere at the level that the other students were at, and that would be a really negative experience for the entire class.
I think kids got bored and not much was there for them in the classrooms. And with this changeover, I've seen really done good to these children, because you can see where they're at with their reading, where they're at with their maths. So when it comes to having to test them out, we can see that we can be able to move on from where they are and, you know, keep moving them up to new strategies, yeah. And it did not happen like that before in the old curriculum.
The biggest aspect I found from direct instruction, apart from the academic development of the child, has been the personal development. The children are smashing every stereotype that's ever been drilled into them, that they'll never learn or that school's not really for them. They see, they feel, it doesn't even have to be pointed out to them, although we do that they're making progress, that they're succeeding.
They've got more responsibilities under the direct instruction model. So they're basically teaching in the classroom, whereas in the past it was more, I guess, translation and behaviour management and more of a traditional teacher aid model. So in a way I think it's given people a lot of, I guess, a boost in self-esteem because they are doing more in class.
I would attribute a lot of stuff to welfare reform in general. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention the alcohol management plan. But again, I would say that the academy, giving the structure, the purpose, the drive, all that sort of stuff, definitely must have a part in it.
Attendance has been approved is that we have FRC in place, Family Responsibilities Commission, which is under the welfare reform. I must say welfare reform has played a big part for the family to feel content. The household has to be in a state of stability so that the child is well cared for, has food every day, and attends school every day. And there has to be that support in the house. If we didn't have those sorts of support, I would pretty much say we'd go backwards.
I used to go to FRC myself, so after a while then they told me go and see them again because I was sending my kids to school every day. And one time they called me again and go and see the FRC and to say congratulations to me, not to go to the FRC no more. Yeah. They congratulated me for that, for sending my kids to school every day. Oh, I was really, proud. So I won't be going to the FRC anymore.
Where we've been strong all along. We don't want any other nation to be saying that we are weak. We are strong.